Welcome to episode 234 of Fresh Air at 5. This week starts off with a new to me podcast, The Nerducators, and goes through the week with some of my usual listens, wrapping up the week with a smorgasbord. So, without further ado, episode 234 of Fresh Air at 5.
This is Dr. Krista Lay, host of SEL in EDU, a proud member of the Education Podcast Network. Each show on the network is independently owned, and the views expressed may not represent those of other podcasts. For the best educational podcasts, visit edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter, coming to you every week from Abbotsford, which is about 45 minutes east of Vancouver, British Columbia, on the west coast of Canada. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to get some fresh air by walking about my neighborhood, which is located on the traditional and unceded territory of the Stolo people, the Simath First Nation and Mathwe First Nation. I consume podcast content while I walk, then reflect on this content in an unedited video, which I post on my X, formerly known as Twitter, channel every day. This podcast is the collection of the audio taken from those daily selfie videos over the course of a week, Monday to Friday. So let's jump into my listening and learning this past week. Hey PLN, it's October 6, 2025, out for Fresh Air at 5 this morning, and it is a crisp 8 degrees Celsius. First time I've been walking recently when it's been below 10, and the fall cool is in the air. It's a very beautiful morning, the sky is clear. The moon is full. I don't know if it's full, but it's on the verge, if not, or it just passed, because I haven't been paying attention. But last night, before I came home from my evening out fishing, I saw the full moon, and then this morning I got up and enjoyed the full moon again. So beautiful, so beautiful. All right, this morning I listened to a new to me podcast called The Nerducators. I heard about this podcast from Brian and Ryan on Check This Out podcast, and The Nerducators is with Chandler Crook and Brian Russell, and they are two educators in the States, I'm guessing, it sounds like. And I don't know much about them yet, but I'm going to get to know more about them as I listen more. So this new to me educator, the Nerducators, the new to me podcast, the Nerducators, is about talking about things in teachers' lives and about the joys and the sorrows of teaching and the challenges that we are facing. And this morning's Nerducator episode was entitled, From Chalkboards to Chatbots, Teachers, Technology, and AI Takeover. And so they talked about all kinds of things. They've got short tips in here about little things you can do with your class. They've got things on the big topic of AI and the AI takeover and what is AI, all the way down to some of the tools that you use, and how Chandler's best friend is ChatGPT, friend of the show. And yes, Chandler, friend of the show for sure. I understand that. And so it's you should take a listen for yourself. If you're getting started with AI, this is a good place to start. I think this is a great place to start because they get into a bit of the nuts and bolts about the function of what artificial intelligence is, some of the things you can do to improve efficiency and things like that. We need a mindset shift from just being about teacher productivity to it being a thought partner and being able to expand our ability to be educators. Like I've said many years ago, back in 2013, technology is merely a tool when wielded appropriately can enhance this thing called education. I'm sticking with that. And that was before I knew anything about ChatGPT, and we did a whole lot of Google things in our spaces. All right, have a fabulous day. I will. I've got to go and do some teacher things. Talk to you soon. Bye. Hey PLN, it's October 7, 2025. Good morning to you. Yesterday I talked about the moon being full. Well, nope, it's actually really full this morning. And so we have got a lot brighter moon, and it's a beautiful morning. Not as cool as yesterday. It's 11 degrees Celsius as I'm out for fresh air at 5 walking. This morning I listened to episode 340 of the Easy EdTech podcast with Monica Burns, as she has on guest Katie Page, and they talk about how to roll out a strategy for AI in schools, as Katie Page has in the past year taken on a role in her district, leaving the classroom to be an AI specialist in her district, and in a technology integration specialist in her district, and the primary focus has been on AI usage and how we can effectively do that. She talks about rolling out a strategy has to do with relationships and having a level of trust amongst staff. You know, admin can push things, but if there's no relationship there, then it's just pushing things. And so how, who do you know? How have you spent time with people in the past and building those relationships? Because, professional development is only so much that we can be forced to do, and being forced to learn about artificial intelligence, there's already resistance sitting right there as we step into these spaces. So the invitation for our teachers to come and learn about professional development on their own, about artificial intelligence, yes, Pro-D, is important. The second thing is to have use cases in your district that are nearby, that, are relatable to what other teachers may need to do, is important. So having examples within your district so that people can see what you are doing is important. Talking about the ethical reminders about freedom of information and privacy for students, and making sure that we, as the educators, keep that student data private, and what spaces does your school district have allowed access for artificial intelligence and what is not. ChatGPT is great, but you put student data in there, and that's a breach of a whole lot of ethical things. And so making sure that we don't put class lists and stuff into ChatGPT, but be careful of where we do that. All right, there's a lot in here. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Monica, and appreciate your thoughtfulness and sharing your story, Katie. Okay, bye-bye. The last thing for September 7, 2025. Be a flight attendant. That's season 6, episode 4 of Teach Happier with Suzanne Daly. And she brings us this metaphor of how we need to be as leaders in our spaces of at school and in the midst of turbulent times at school. Thinking about flight attendants, when you get on an airplane, they are all about the safety. They're all about taking care of your needs. And they do a lot of that, taking care of your needs, to keep people calm, to keep us calm as we are flying, because flying isn't for everyone. It's not the easiest thing for many to do. I was on a flight about 2 years ago, and the guy sitting next to me, man, I didn't think he was going to make it through the flight. Flight attendant wasn't there. I was there trying to calm him down, because I'm like, wow, this dude's not doing well. But, what do we do when things get turbulent? We look around to our surroundings and go, is this really happening? And then once that happens, we look around to see if somebody else, and that being the flight attendant on our airplane, is concerned about our situation. They are just calm. They're just being present. They are just making sure that everybody's got their seatbelts on and having a sense of calm. As we walk into, the school year, further into the school year, how do we respond to turbulent times? Students look to us. They're like, what are we going to do now? And it's our role to maybe fake it for a moment and believe that we are going to get through these things. Because like we learned last week on Teach Happier, I can handle, no, I can't remember exactly the phrase, but it's about that we can handle and navigate hard situations. So yes. All right. Thanks for that. Thanks for listening. I hope you're doing well, and go be a flight attendant today in your space so that others can feel calm and relaxed because you think we got this. Because we do. But without turbulence, we can't fly. We cannot make lift and make it into the sky to go places. So turbulence is going to happen. All right, talk to you later. Bye. Hey, PLN, it is October 9th, 2025. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. The wind's blowing this morning, but it is about 12 or 13 degrees Celsius, so it's not too cool. And it's overcast. There's no stars today. As I'm walking this morning, I listened to Evolving with Gratitude with Lainey Rowell. She has guest Jamil Zaki, who is a director of the neuroscience lab at Stanford, and also the author of a book called Hope for Cynics. And they talk about cynicism, skepticism, optimism, pessimism, and hope, and how we need to be hopeful as opposed to cynical. We can be a hopeful skeptic, and that is a place where we need the evidence to find out about people whether or not there's good there, as opposed to cynics who have already drawn the conclusion that people are just downright bad. And so without evidence moving forward. So they talk about who's smarter, who's wiser, things like that, who has a better quality of life, things like that. So I don't believe I'm a cynic. I believe I'm a hopeful skeptic. I am not an optimist by definition of what I heard today, because an optimist just believes the world's going to get better, the future's going to be better, and I'm going to sit down and not do anything about it. As opposed to being hopeful, I believe that the world is going to be better, but I can make a difference in that world. And, if I just sit back, that is not going to affect that difference. So that's why I'm involved in lots of things that I'm involved in, because I believe I can make a positive impact in the places I spend my time. Do I hold people at arm's length for a moment until I get to know them? Yes, I do. But once I get to know them, am I trusting and believe that they have good inside them? Yes, I do. And that takes evidence and takes time to build those relationships. And there's a lot of definitions in here. Lainey, I like the nerding out, but I almost got lost. Almost got lost with the definitions. And Zamil, thank you so much for your patience with sharing your thoughts about all these things. There is hope for cynics, and we need to get out of our complacent, negative outlook on people and get into a skeptical, hopeful space about people. We need the evidence, and we need to see that there is good there. All right, that's all I got. Thanks so much. Have a happy day. Bye. The last thing for October 9, 2025, I just listened to episode 73 of Why Edify from my friend Jeremy Jorgensen, as he talks about eat that frog, time management tricks that every teacher needs. And he talks about Mark Twain's quote about having to eat a frog and get at it quickly because, who wants to eat a frog? And if you got to eat two frogs, do the biggest one first to get it over with. That's the way turkey dinner was and the Brussels sprouts. I'd have to eat one Brussels sprout. That was the rule. And I would eat that Brussels sprout. And eventually I would take two because I'm that good. And I would eat two Brussels sprouts just to get it over with. Brian Tracy's book, Eat That Frog, takes off on Mark Twain's idea about, getting to the most difficult tasks first in the day. It's about time management and about perspective, being able to prioritize the things that we don't want to do, but are maybe the most important things that we need to do, or we want to do them, but they're big and daunting, and we have to actually just get at them and tackle them. There's a few things in my space right now that are like that, and I was working on a directory of all the pictures of our singers in our choir, and on Tuesday night, I took pictures of about 200 singers, and I had to organize them into a directory, 30 pictures on a page, and then, put their names under and get it all right. And I did work on that. So that's something that I worked on as this week. And last night I just sat down and I got at it and got it done. It feels so good. All right, as we are wrapping this up, what's your frog today? What's your thing you got to get at today that you would rather not? Let's get it off our plate, get it done so that we can move on. All right, thanks, Jeremy. Thanks for your words. People, go take a listen to what Jeremy says. He says it much better than I. Episode 73 of Why Edify. Okay, bye. Good morning. It's Saturday, October 11th, 2025. Up and listening to a podcast this morning because yesterday morning I slept in. It was Friday, the end of the week, and I did sleep in. I was just tired. A lot going on this past week. And All right, this morning I listened to episode 199 of the EdTech Throwdown with Eric and Nick as they bring us Smorgasbord, 8 cool websites teachers should check out. And now, this is a mixed bag of things, or a smorgasbord, and I haven't seen that word written out very often. So thanks, gents, for writing that down. You guys got everything in here from worksheets for kiddos, which is pretty cool for, if you got little ones at home and you want to have some worksheets and have them do some things, on a break day or whatever, kiddie school in the summer or whatever. That's pretty fun to do. You've got radio around the world and TV around the world. You got a website that can take us and look at what's going on the radio stations, actually live right now, and historically going back in the past. There's some recordings, which is kind of fun. You've got to drive and listen through cities. So it's like a virtual reality kind of walkthrough, kind of Google Maps-ish kind of style as you travel through the cities. And look at those. There's a solar system one you guys bring. There's an iFixit manual. You got to fix something. Go take a look at that because that might be a way to streamline getting to the fixing of the problem. And finally, you've got a YouTube trick, pop-up trick that you can put in to YouTube to get around ads when you're doing presentations. I'm going to try that out for sure. I got a presentation coming up, so I'm going to try that out. And then whatsmyname.app is a way to look to see what username you have subscribed to different places around social medias. Gents, fantastic. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing well. It is getting into the cooler part of the year. It is damp outside. It's not super cold yet, but we are still enjoying the weather. I'm going to try to get out fishing this weekend. It is Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada. Enjoying the weather. It's the weekend. We went and saw Tron Ares last night. If you want to see a good movie, that is a good show. Really enjoyed Tron Ares. Okay, that's all I got for this week. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you. Okay, bye.
I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's like a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find some other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific episode podcast titles and episode numbers in the show notes, which are only a click or swipe away for your learning convenience. I've also started to put together a Spotify playlist of each of the episodes so that you can also take a listen to those specifically, and the link to that playlist is in the show notes. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoyed this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. You can also follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Brian Carr, BRYONCAR, or at Fresh Air at 5. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can be found on the Educational Podcast Network, Podcasts for educators, podcasts by educators. I hope you have a fantastic day. Get some fresh air before the day is out and take care of yourself because you are worth it.